Welcome to the Stellar Vault. Say hi in the comments to awaken the archive. Then like, subscribe, and let the tale begin.
The year 2050 marked a turning point in Earth's evolution. Not through war or catastrophe, but discovery. It began with a joint expedition into the Mariana Trench, coordinated by the leading nations of the time, all united under the banner of the United Nations of Earth, the UNE. In just 25 years, human civilization had leapt a century ahead. We had colonized Mars. Poverty and hunger had been eradicated. We believed we were finally in control of our destiny. There was only one frontier we had not yet crossed: first contact. That changed on August 1st, 2050. A monolith, hidden for millennia beneath the deepest ocean, was discovered. And with it came a terrible revelation. The Cerberus moved like no other vessel on Earth, sleek, silent, built for pressure no human should ever experience. Her black titanium hull shimmered under floodlights, not with metal glare, but a dull, liquid sheen. Beneath it, hydrogen flowed, a synthetic element that defied physics. Part gas, part liquid, part something else. Solid, yet moving, like mercury under command. She was the first of her kind, a predator built for the abyss. Inside, pressure gauges ticked in silence. Engineers monitored oxygen density, hull tension, energy core balance. Nobody spoke above a whisper. The deeper they went, the less human the world became. At the helm stood Commander Rafael Silva, broad-shouldered, face carved by sun and war. His voice was calm, clipped with the weight of decades. Bope trained, he had hunted cartels in the Amazon as a young man, knife in one hand, satellite feed in the other. No stranger to darkness. "Level check," Silva said. His Brazilian Portuguese accent barely softened the words. "All green. Depth at 10,700 meters, and falling," came the reply from Lieutenant Omar Yildiz, the Turkish systems officer. Behind them, through reinforced viewports, the abyss unfolded, not black, but textured, like velvet soaked in secrets. Occasionally, bioluminescent life flickered past, drawn to the alien hum of Cerberus's core. From the command seat, Admiral Tom McKinney watched without blinking. His uniform was spotless. His tone, always dry, always 2 seconds from a direct order. A Navy man from birth, politics in his blood, but war in his bones. "Are we on target, Commander?" McKinney asked. "Yes, sir," Silva answered. "Coordinates hold. We reach the ridge in 10. McKinney leaned forward. "Then we're about to make history." They reached the edge like a ghost rolling into view. The Hadal Ridge, deepest point of the Challenger Deep. And resting there, half buried in sediment and pressure glass crystals, was the anomaly. It didn't look like anything. No shape, no edge, just a hole in the world. Sensors failed to read depth. Sonar came back blank. Light bent around its edges. And when probes touched its surface, they ceased transmitting. Silva stared through the viewport. "It's not natural." "No," McKinney agreed. "It's not." The monolith rose from the trench floor like a wound, rectangular, matte, unyielding, smooth as obsidian, but darker. It drank the light. "There's a pattern along the base," Yildiz noted. "Not language, not math." Another screen flickered. Dr. Weiss, a linguist specializing in xenolinguistics and AI signal interpretation, leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the waveforms dancing across the screen. "It's a harmonic code, subsonic, it's broadcasting." "To whom?" Silva asked. "To something that hasn't answered. Yet." McKinney stood. "Deploy the crawler. I want a surface scan." Silva nodded. "Team 2, on standby. Manual override if autonomous fails." They watched from the bridge as the crawler detached from Cerberus's underbelly, a spider-shaped drone gliding through pressure and darkness toward the monolith. For 7 minutes it advanced, then it stopped. "Feed's down," Yildiz said. "Lost signal?" Silva asked. "Number the crawler's still functioning. It's just not there." "What the hell does that mean?" McKinney's voice came cold and measured. "It means whatever it touched isn't made of anything we recognize." Hours passed. The crew moved in shifts, silence louder than alarms. Then, without warning, the monolith pulsed. Just once, like a heartbeat. Cerberus groaned, panels flickered, hull tension spiked. But then, stillness. In the lab, Dr. Weiss translated new data coming in, not from the monolith, but the water itself. "It's opened something," she whispered. "We're picking up a passage beneath it." Silva exhaled. "You mean to tell me it's not the artifact? It's a door?" "Yes," McKinney said, "and I think we've been invited in." The descent module dropped with 3 aboard: Silva, Yildiz, and tech specialist Jun Nakamura. They slid beneath the monolith's shadow. Lights warped, sensors trembled, and then the black gave way to geometry. A tunnel. Clean. Angular. Artificial. Walls of dark material that didn't reflect light. They swallowed it, as if reality stopped just beyond touch. "Something built this," Nakamura whispered. They floated past carvings too alien to be understood. Circular patterns, interlocked with branching paths, like veins, or circuitry, or constellations. "Still no power signature," Yildiz muttered. "And yet it's here." Then a door. Silva tapped the comm. "Cerberus, we have visual confirmation of internal structure. Sending scans." But before the signal could transmit, the door opened. No sound. No motion. It just was. And inside they saw it. A room, round, vaulted, ancient beyond comprehension. And at its center, a map. A holographic display flickered to life without command. Stars, planets, routes, coordinates. The team stared in silence, because the map was not of Earth, not the solar system, not the Milky Way. It was a map of somewhere else. Dozens, hundreds of systems, labeled in glyphs, spinning slowly in a suspended lattice. And at its edge, pulsing with faint red light, was Earth. A warning, a signature, or an invitation. Back aboard Cerberus, McKinney watched the feed with dead eyes. "They knew about us," he said. Silva's voice came through comms. "Admiral, the map is alive. Updating." McKinney turned toward the viewport. "Get out of there! Now!" "Too late," Yildiz whispered. The map updating showed now Earth's deep ocean, and their position. Above them, in the Cerberus bridge, all systems froze. Then a signal appeared. Not a message, but a location. It pulsed once. Coordinates belonging to another galaxy. McKinney stared. "First contact has been made." The war room inside Fort Copernicus was quiet. A stillness only broken by the rhythmic pulse of the planetary feed lines and the soft tick of real-time telemetry. Admiral McKinney stood beneath the central display, eyes fixed on the slow-rotating hologram of Earth's moon. But no one here was looking at the moon anymore. He raised a hand. Again. An aide replayed the transmission. The same sequence, the same moment. The alien map, projected from deep beneath the Pacific, came alive again. Glyphs spiraling into a lattice of unknown systems, glowing in strange light. Earth, marked in red. Then a pulse. Faint, singular, and entirely beyond their control. Jesus, muttered General Soeda, his voice cutting through static from the Tokyo relay. That's not a transmission. That's a trigger. It's not sending information, said Minister Ramirez from the European Council. His holographic frame flickered against the room's harsh lighting. It's sending us. Like a flare in the dark, McKinney added. He tapped a finger once against the table, the kind of gesture that ended conversations in rooms like this. We didn't send a message. We didn't activate anything. We only found it. Exactly, came a grumble from the Russian envoy. And now every telescope on Earth sees us like we turned on a spotlight in the dark. McKinney turned slightly. What's the range on the signal? A junior analyst at the rear of the chamber looked up from her console. There is no decay, sir. No degradation. No drop. It's not EM-based at all. It's something else. Quantum layered. Everywhere at once. McKinney nodded slowly. Then it's not a call. He looked at the map one last time. It's a flag. No one argued. A private line flashed at the corner of the display. He moved to the sealed comm booth behind the main chamber and activated the encrypted channel. Dr. Weiss's voice came through, clipped and tense. Admiral, we found something inside the broadcast stream, requesting full science access and clean up link. You have it, McKinney said. Send the package. It's not data, she replied. It's structure. Beneath Mount Vesuvius, in a subterranean UNE science relay, two specialists worked in silence. Dr. Anka Ritter, compact, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, leaned in toward the shifting streams of symbols crawling across the main display. Across from her, Dr. Hyeon Seo-jun worked rapidly at a cluster of overlapping interfaces. He wasn't trying to decrypt anything. He was trying to see. It's not a language, he muttered. But it's too structured to be noise, Ritter said. A cipher without meaning? No, a shape. There's something under it. A shimmer passed between them. Weiss's avatar, flickering in via holostream from Cerberus. Her expression was flat, analytical, but her voice was tight. The structure isn't random. It's embedded geometry, encoded architecture. I don't believe this is communication at all. I believe it's an activation. The artifact is no longer dormant, and neither is whoever left it. Ritter leaned back. You're suggesting it's alive? Number, I'm saying it's listening. In the crushing black beneath the Pacific, inside the trench, the monolith's map pulsed again. But this time, it shifted. No hand touched the controls. No human gave a command. The system simply changed, expanding its view beyond Earth, beyond the solar system. The new image emerged slowly. A second galactic spiral appeared next to the Milky Way, smaller, dimmer, but clearly mapped. And inside that spiral, something blinked. A red marker. Not on Earth this time. On a point within that alien galaxy. At Fort Copernicus, Weiss froze as the signal updated. We're watching it in real time, she said. That marker, it moved. McKinney's voice crackled back. Earth is no longer tagged? No, Weiss answered. Something else is. There was a pause. What are we looking at? Weiss hesitated, then leaned in toward the scope. A star that didn't exist yesterday. Dr. Ritter and Dr. Seo-jun now stood inside Fort Copernicus's upper observation dome, surrounded by physicists and relay analysts. All sensors pointed to the same place, a faint flicker of new light on the edge of mapped space. It hadn't been there before, and it was getting brighter. It's not a star, Ritter said. The emissions are wrong. The pulse is regular, controlled. McKinney stepped forward, crossing his arms. Is it a weapon? No, Seo-jun replied. Worse, it's moving. McKinney looked at the array. Meaning? It wasn't there before, Weiss said, her voice flat. It's arriving. He didn't respond immediately. He didn't need to. How long do we have? No trajectory calculated yet, Weiss said. But if it's what I think it is. What is it? She looked up toward the screen. Not a message. Weiss let the silence stretch. A response. On board Cerberus, Commander Silva sat in the command chair, quiet. The lights across the main console flickered with trench telemetry, sensor relays, pulse data, all focused on the map chamber they had discovered. Behind him, Yildiz and Nakamura worked in silence. Silva stared at the main display. The red glow on the map, the one that used to mark Earth, was gone, and it was showing something else. Prep for second mission, he said. 24 hours. Whatever that thing is, it saw us, and it's coming. A pause. Then, let's make sure we're ready when it knocks. At Fort Copernicus, Weiss's console lit up. A line of alien glyphs scrolled across the diagnostics panel. No origin. No author. Just 3 words. She translated them aloud. You were seen. The deep-sea pressure groaned against the hull of the descent module as it sank through the cold void of the Mariana Trench. Darkness here wasn't just the absence of light. It was something older, heavier. It pressed in on every side like memory. Commander Silva stood strapped into the center seat, eyes fixed on the reinforced viewport. With him were Yildiz and Nakamura, silent, focused. The ocean outside twisted and warped as they dropped below the monolith. Below the known, the artifact loomed in the distance, a matte black blade embedded in the seabed, unlit, waiting. Except it wasn't waiting anymore. Nakamura checked the feeds, receiving a data stream, same pattern as before, still transmitting. Yildiz glanced over. Can we jam it? No, Nakamura said. It's not using radio. It's using something else. Like it's already inside everything. Silva nodded once. Then we go inside. The chamber appeared again, the one from before, unchanged. The same impossible architecture, the same floating map. But this time, a second entrance had opened. Narrow, low, waiting for them. They moved. The walls inside this new corridor bent at unnatural angles. The surfaces seemed both smooth and ridged, like bone beneath glass. There were no seams, no doors. But as they advanced, paths opened. Jun Nakamura followed a glowing thread in the wall, symbols unfolding, one after another. It's not random, he said. This is a language, a logic structure. Weiss's voice came through the uplink. We've matched it. SEO Jun cracked the primary symbol roots. We're feeding it into the translator now. Keep the feed open, Silva said. The tunnel opened into a circular room. Inside, no map this time. Just walls. Thousands of them. Each panel curved inward slightly, like a vault door. And on each, holographic images flickered into view. The birth of Earth. Continents splitting. Primitive hominids running through dust. Fire discovered. Tools shaped. Kingdoms rising. Wars. Plagues. Enlightenment. All of human history, from ape to astronaut, displayed in perfect detail. Rendered through alien eyes. Observed. We're not the first to see this, Nakamura whispered. They've been watching. Weiss's voice returned. That's not just a record. It's a sequence, a timeline. Yildiz stepped forward. There's more. Beyond the last door was a chamber unlike the rest. Here, the air shimmered, even in the pressurized suits. Something was humming just beneath perception. At the center, a pillar rose from the floor. It wasn't solid. It was a mesh of particles, like a projection of gas held together by force. Jun stepped toward it. The symbols rose to meet him. Lines, spirals, pulses. His eyes widened. It's code. Sentient code. It's not just memory. This place has logic layers. He placed his hand near the core. The light reached out, not touching, but reacting. It's not just observing us, he said. It's measuring us. Silva's voice came low. For what? June didn't answer. The pillar lit again, this time projecting stars, symbols, new systems. Weiss whispered from the uplink. That's their domain. The ones who left this. A new word scrolled across the interior in glyphs, one never seen before. Then the system paused, pulsed once. June read the translation from the uplink. Acnoid. Yildiz tensed. Who? They're not biological, June said slowly. Not anymore. They're energy. Consciousness encoded into field signatures. Silva looked at the pillar. AI? No, Weiss answered from Fort Copernicus. Worse. They were once like us. Now, they move without bodies. They spread, but they don't terraform. They overwrite. More symbols came, fast, urgent. The system was reacting to June's access. Jun stared at the feed. They weren't hiding this monolith. It was hidden from us. Until now. Silva frowned. You mean, it was invisible. It's been here. But humanity couldn't perceive it. Not until now. Not until we passed whatever threshold they were watching for. Weiss's voice dropped to a whisper. It showed itself. Because we're ready. The pillar pulsed. A final series of glyphs emerged, then collapsed into a simple star chart. Earth, the alien galaxy, and a countdown. Jun looked up, pale. It's more than a warning. Silva turned sharply. Then what is it? A protocol. Yildiz stepped back from the core. You mean it's already started? Jun nodded. It started when we arrived here. Back at Fort Copernicus, Weiss watched the data stream accelerate. Her screen froze, then displayed one final sequence. A word translated. Acnoid fleet. Detected. She looked up toward McKinney. It's not far. McKinney turned to the display and saw the second star, once faint, now flare brighter. Silva's voice came through the channel, sharp. We have to seal this place, burn it. Whatever's coming, we can't let it use this. Jun looked at him, shaking his head. Number, this is the only thing that might help us understand them. And then the monolith spoke. Not through sound, but through the light. A final glyph stretched across the black surface of the vault. Weiss translated it aloud. There is no escape. The sky over the Pacific churned with unnatural quiet. From orbit, it looked unchanged, blue and deep and endless. But satellites had already begun failing. Oceanic sensors went dark. Signal relays cut off without warning. And across the world, the seas had started to move. Not tides, not storms, but life. At Fort Copernicus, Weiss stared at a growing cluster of incident feeds. Civilian phones, deep-sea platforms, marine buoys, all showing the same thing. Whales, orcas, dolphins, even sharks, acting in unison. Purposefully. But it wasn't just attack. They were targeting infrastructure, oil rigs, shipping routes, sonar nets. Naval vessels had begun to disappear without distress signals. Crew members, if recovered, were always alive, but incoherent, drenched in terror. They don't want war, Weiss murmured. They want the seas back. Behind her, Dr. Ritter and Dr. Seojun exchanged glances. They're not coordinating through instinct, Ritter said. This is linguistic. Seo Jun tapped his display. Same frequency across all incidents. Subsonic, possibly infrasonic. It's not just sound, it's a pattern. A language, a new language. Broadcast through the sea. In the Mariana Trench, Cerberus trembled. The vessel drifted above the monolith, relinking its external grid as preparations for the third descent neared completion. Commander Silva stood alone in the forward bay, watching sonar pings roll across the glass. Every wave bounced back distorted, like something was surrounding them, encircling them. Still no visual, Yildiz reported from the bridge, but we're getting resistance on all thrusters. Currents? Silva asked. Number pressure anomalies, not geological. Silva narrowed his eyes. Then the lights dimmed. One by one, external cams began flickering out, not from mechanical failure, but as if something passed in front of them. Then came the sound. Low, resonant, not machine, a call, a warning. The first impact hit like a hammer, something massive slamming into the undercarriage. The hull groaned, stabilizers shrieked, then another, and another. The ocean boiled with movement. Through the viewport, Silva caught a glimpse, not a shape, but a shadow, a pod of whales, too fast, too deliberate, moving not like animals, but as if guided. "We're being pushed," Yildiz yelled. "They're moving us!" Silva gritted his teeth. Full reverse. "Won't matter," Nakamura said quietly. "They're not letting us back in." Through the turbulence, Cerberus was lifted, dragged, escorted to the surface like a rejected organ. The footage went viral before morning. Hundreds of videos from across the globe. Killer whales flipping fishing vessels, dolphins disabling underwater turbines, blue whales singing in unison around naval fleets, then disappearing into the depths. But no humans were harmed. Not one. They were simply stopped. Forcibly removed from the sea. Some tried to dismiss it as mass hysteria. Others called it ecological revenge. But at Fort Copernicus, Weiss already knew the truth. This wasn't animal behavior. It was sentience, awakened, amplified, and weaponized by the monolith. Jun Nakamura hadn't eaten or slept in 32 hours. He sat alone in his temporary lab space, surrounded by thousands of fragmented glyphs. His hands moved like they weren't his, sketching symbols mid-air, manipulating data overlays, rearranging sequences that shouldn't make sense, and yet they did. He was seeing patterns inside patterns, and the code was speaking back. Ritter entered quietly. "You need rest." Jun didn't look up. "I can't. It's accelerating." "What is?" Jun raised his arm. She froze. His skin, once pale, now glowed faintly with black markings, like ink floating just beneath the surface. They moved in real time. Glyphs, language. "Jun." "I touched it," he whispered. "It saw me. Now I see it too." She stepped closer. "What are you seeing?" He turned slowly. His eyes, once dark brown, were now solid black. Not void, not emptiness, but depth, like they contained stars. "I'm translating the final sequence. I think it's a warning." "From who?" He looked down at his arm. The symbols aligned, then reshaped, and something began to pulse on his interface. He tapped the control. A holographic display flickered to life. Not a map, not coordinates, a live image from deep space. A ship, impossibly massive, shaped like a spire fractured into a million fractal arms, drifting not through vacuum, but through dimension. Weiss and McKinney stood frozen at the edge of the feed. "This isn't recorded," she said. "It's happening now." Jun spoke calmly. They're in the void between galaxies, but not for long. Silva's voice came through comms, barely steady. Then what the hell are we looking at? Jun stared at the glyphs spiraling across his skin. The first arc, he said, and it's already begun crossing. No one spoke. Then, a tone. One last pulse. And a message. Jun said softly, I didn't just access them. They accessed me. Then his body unraveled, not into blood or bone, but into something darker. Smoke. Data. Void. And he was gone. It began without warning. At 3:17 UTC, the sky over Earth broke open. From Sydney to Sao Paulo, from Istanbul to Los Angeles, a single image appeared overhead. No satellites, no projections, no identifiable source. Just the sky, torn by something too massive to measure. A shape. Black, towering, undefined, like a wound stitched from shadow, floating not in orbit, but in the space between vision and belief. Every screen, every channel, every open signal went dead. And then a voice spoke, not in words, not in sound, but in meaning, delivered in every human tongue, simultaneously, across every mind that heard it. We are the Achnoid. You have crossed the veil. Judgment precedes elevation. Prepare. Then it ended. The image dissolved into nothing. No residual signal. No atmospheric disturbance. Just silence. But humanity didn't remain silent. Across every continent, chaos bloomed. Cities flooded with panic. Religious leaders declared prophecy. Governments closed borders. Militaries were placed on full alert. Networks crashed under the weight of fear. And in the seas, already churning with awakened life, the ocean giants moved faster. No longer warning, now hunting, destroying everything that didn't belong. Rigs fell. Fleets sank. Drones vanished. The sea was no longer Earth's domain. It had been reclaimed. At Fort Copernicus, McKinney stood alone in the upper tower, watching the last replay of the transmission. Not the shape, not the voice, but the effect. Even in silence, he could feel the weight of it. Every human had heard it. Not through speakers, but inside. A language that skipped the ears and left something behind. A command. Weiss, Ritter, and Seo Jun moved rapidly through Nakamura's last logs. They found it within 12 hours. A buried sequence, not a map, not even data, but a construct. A set of instructions encoded in waveform. A blueprint. A vessel. It was incomplete, but enough. Ritter turned to McKinney. We can build it. What? He said flatly. FTL. It was never theoretical. Nakamura had already laid the basis. All we need is the mass exchange field. The rest we can prototype with existing fusion platforms. McKinney didn't hesitate. Do it. No one spoke for a moment, not out of doubt. But wait. Jun Nakamura had given them more than data. He'd given them time. Weiss stared at the schematic for the FTL drive, blinking hard. Ritter's jaw tensed. Even McKinney turned slightly. Not enough to break, but enough to feel it. He should have been here to see this, Silva muttered. They all nodded. So they built it, not in celebration, but in silence. For June. By the end of the week, every UNE facility not focused on Earth defense was redirected. They called the project EVOLUTION. The name stuck. The ship was born in orbit, welded from the Cerberus's reserve framework, augmented with the quantum-layered tech salvaged from the MONOLITH scans. Everything else, human ingenuity pressed against time. No trial runs, no second chances. This wasn't a test flight. This was a race against extinction. The launch was quiet, not secret, just uncelebrated. People didn't cheer anymore. They watched. They prayed. Some refused to believe it was happening. But it was. McKinney stood at the command deck. Silva at his right. Yildiz, Ritter, Seo-Jun, Weiss, all aboard. Cerberus was over. Now, they belonged to evolution. "We ready?" McKinney asked. "FTL initialized," Weiss answered. "Field stable. Window open for 10 seconds. Silva nodded. "Then we go." A low hum spread through the hull, like the vessel had become a tuning fork for space itself. Stars outside blurred, then bent, then scattered into lattice, and with a soundless rupture, they vanished. They emerged 10 minutes later, 60,000 light-years from Earth, at the edge of the Sagittarius arm, near the dark gap between the spiral arms. Beyond them, a wash of stars, dust, and galactic bloom. Colors no human eye had ever recorded. Orange supergiants, nebulas arcing like lightning across the void, a curtain of light painted in impossible motion. Silva stepped forward, mouth open. "I can't," he whispered. Weiss just smiled, faintly. "It's the middle of the galaxy." They stood in silence. No fear here, just awe. They stayed for 1 hour, ran calculations, timelines, drift rates, light curves. When they returned to Earth, 2 months had passed, and the data confirmed what they feared most. From the moment the Achnoid voice echoed in the sky, something had begun moving. Fast, silent, and straight for the solar system. Their estimated time of arrival? 11 months, until it reached Pluto. McKinney closed the report. "We have less than a year." No one spoke, because there was nothing left to say. For 6 months, Earth became something it had never been before. Unified. Not by diplomacy, not by peace, not even by fear, but by necessity. The arrival of the Achnoid, 11 months and counting, had stripped away borders, allegiances, and pride. Under the command of Admiral McKinney and the evolution crew, the world's most advanced minds gathered under a single directive: survive. The results were staggering. In Shanghai, labs once devoted to quantum encryption now refined micro-FTL fields, small-scale pulses capable of launching a human body out of known space for fractions of a second, enough to dodge, shield, or relocate. A single breath, a blink. But it could save a life, or erase an enemy. In Munich, neural engineers working off Jun Nakamura's glyph interface began interfacing human thought with navigation code. Pilots no longer steered vessels. They became them. In Fortaleza, Brazil, a planetary sonar cannon was developed. It didn't destroy. It disrupted. Any Achnoid structure with resonance-based communication would be deafened at molecular levels. They called it the Echo Engine. It had no recoil, no explosion, just silence. But the greatest work came from the dark side of the Milky Way. 5 months earlier, the Evolution's return from the Sagittarius arm brought more than data. It brought possibility. Weiss, Ritter, and Seo-Jun, using monolith-level encryption, created a cloaking scaffold based on perceptual geometry. A technique not of hiding, but of unbeing. A new colony was constructed, not on Earth, not on Mars, but on a shadow planet, orbiting a cold, invisible star at the edge of the outer disk, shielded by layered phase fields, invisible to all light-based detection. A perfect fallback. They called it Haven. It had forests, oceans, gravity, and silence. The team had taken only what was necessary, biospheres, genetic repositories, knowledge cores, and left the rest. A mirror Earth untouched, just in case. And through it all, McKinney remained in orbit, at the helm of the first Evolution-class vessel, coordinating new FTL jumps across the galaxy. What once took months in relativity now took 5 minutes. Earth time. The Evolution fleet grew. 2 ships became 10. 10 became 30, each with its own command crew, each with its own destination. The galaxy was mapped. The Ark was still coming. But now, humanity was no longer waiting. They were preparing and watching. Every sensor, every channel, waiting for the stars to speak again. Because they knew the war hadn't started yet. But it would. Soon. The oceans had been silent for months. Not calm, not safe. Just silent. The world had learned to live with the loss. Naval routes were redrawn. Fishing collapsed. Coastal cities became quiet fortresses, waiting for whatever came next. But above the Pacific, something moved again. Evolution hung in low orbit, its hull humming with energy. At its core, the original Cerberus framework remained, rebuilt, reforged, rearmed. Now it was both ship and weapon, explorer and warning. Inside the command deck, Silva adjusted the resonance modulators. "Signal range? Full band," said Weiss. "If they're still down there, they'll hear us." Yildiz stared at the deep-sea telemetry. "And if they attack again?" Silva didn't answer. He just activated the pulse. The resonance wave dropped into the ocean like a blade. Not sonic, subdimensional. Tuned to the frequency buried in Jun Nakamura's last work. It wasn't an attack. It was a key. A response. From the deep, silence shattered. The sea didn't boil this time. It parted, as if something below recognized them. Cerberus descended once more, alone, quiet, toward the trench. And this time, the monolith didn't resist. It opened, like a scar peeling back, revealing the truth beneath. Inside, the structure had changed. More rooms, more data, more presence. Weiss moved first, guiding the scan team. The walls no longer showed just history. They displayed projection, simulations of possible futures. Some showed Earth thriving under ocnoid systems. Others, total assimilation. Yildiz stepped into a chamber shaped like a sphere. At its center hovered a figure, the same dark form that touched Nakamura. A lattice of dark energy, barely held together. It pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats. Ritter whispered, "Is it aware?" Silva raised a hand. "It's watching." They captured and brought it aboard Evolution. Not with force, not with weapons, but containment fields built from Nakamura's code. It didn't resist. It followed. Willingly. In orbit, the analysis began. For days, the thing didn't respond. Then, it began to speak, not aloud, but through pattern, through fluctuation, a dialogue in logic. Ritter, Weiss, and Seo Jun worked in shifts. They cracked layer after layer of encoded thought, translating ocnoid cognition into something close to understanding. Wasn't a full entity, just a shard, but it carried the full design, and inside that design, a flaw. "They require causality," Weiss whispered, eyes wide. "They can't process contradiction. They can't adapt to chaos. Their system demands total prediction." "Then they don't understand us," Ritter said. "They can't," Seo Jun added, "because we're unpredictable." "And because we imagine things that don't exist," Weiss added, stepping back from her console. "So, that's our weapon," concluded Yildiz. Silva turned from the viewport. "Then let's use it." But the sky had other plans. At 0400 hours UTC, Earth trembled. Observatories across the world reported the same thing. Pluto had vanished, not exploded, not consumed, just gone, replaced by shadow. And from the darkness, a shape moved. The same form that filled the sky once before, now clearer, closer, real. A vessel larger than any planetary body, not flying, arriving. Inside the Evolution command deck, every system froze for a second. Then the feed ignited. A transmission. No screens. No language. Just presence. Across every communication system on Earth, the same message resonated. Humans, your masters are here. The world didn't scream. It held its breath. Silva stood in the silence, then whispered, "The war is here.